another live. I have done, I think, 4 or 3 lives before, and I think the reason why I'm getting into the rhythm of doing more live videos is because of the feedback from myself personally, because I think I had previously underestimated the capacity with which this creative outlet would have on my writer's block, because I started doing these lives because I could not get through my previously dreadful writer's block, and I'm enjoying this because it's giving me a sort of an evolution in creative outlets, because I think coming from writing to speaking is a good way to evolve or metamorphosize. I think it's good because it's actually giving me a way to decompress and declutter, and I think it's getting me back to normal rate of creative writing. I am not primarily a writer. What I do is use it as a way to organize my thoughts. I think at the modern times, with the influx and the bombardment of stimulus and information, I think they ought to be an avenue or an outlet for people to decompress. I think writing is a good form of it because it actually helps you organize your thoughts. I think the reason as well why I am continuing with these lives is because I have done 4 lives and I've gained 79 followers. I think so. It brings me to a total of 1679. I think, of course, as a vanity metric, I'm not so much obsessed with it, but as a social proof metric, I think it means that this seems to be getting impetus. So seems to be getting a good momentum from the feedback of surge of followers. So my intention still remains the same. I'm intending to continue with these lives to the point that I can actually see where it goes. My intentions for doing this is to get patronage of readers, so people who enjoy reading. And that is why I've always made sure that I start my lives by showing you what my previous, also showing you my current reads, and I also want to talk about my current read. Sorry, the what I got from my previous read. Uh, I'm I've seen a new I have a viewer, Hayden Chiriot. Thank you for making the time. Hopefully this would make sense as we still go along, because I think you joined 3 minutes into the conversation. So without wasting so much time, please let me show you my current read. These are my current reads. So what I have as fiction is The Empress and the Cake. I'm yet to start. I actually picked it up today, so I haven't gotten to reading it. So I'm very excited to read it. I think I'll be giving my feedback or whatever it is that I get from this book in the next live, which would be, I think it will take me like a week, if I'm not wrong, to read it, because I'll be juggling it. I'll be juggling it with my work as well. I think also have this other one, with, a guide to broadcasting techniques. I wanted to get more of how the radio, because I find it very intriguing as a medium. Your thoughts are okay. That's a good question. Hayden Chariot, I think your comment is wasted on me, because I don't think this is the place and time for that. It might stroke your ego a little, because I think in the internet there are people who walk, who scour the dark alleys and try and punch people's esteem. I think this is wasted, because I think what you can gain is actually finding someone who is an easy target. There's Thomas Taus, your thoughts on reading from a cell phone. I do actually read from a cell phone once in a while, but I find that the medium of reading, or rather the choice of reading from a screen, is very difficult because of how distracting it is. I think it became a strenuous act, especially to my eyes at some point, and so I stopped reading. And I think I do value reading hard copy books because of how it's sacred sense. I think it's interesting. I have finished a whole book on my cell phone. I think if I can remember, it was a tiny book. It was by Seth Godin. It's called The Deep. I think that is the latest one that I can remember. I have also finished Naval Ravikant's The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, but because I have the bias to think that Naval Ravikant is one of the modern philosophers who actually have something to say. I think and I think partly because I could not also get those books on shelves. I think that is another thing. Currently, I have been distracted by hard copy books because I think hard copy books are much more engaging. I think you can, I don't know, maybe it's just a bias that I have, or maybe it's from the education system that we have. But I think I've reverted back to reading hard copy books because they can actually allow me to take notes on the side. I think that is also quite a good thing because the point of reading is actually getting new ideas or actually being influenced by a book. I think reading for entertainment purely, people do that, but I find it difficult for me because I think I enjoy reading for with an intention. So those are my current read. If you did watch my live previously, which was last week, my currently reads from last week was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen and Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And the reason why I think this live today would be is titled the way it is, I think, is from Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen because I think it's a very interesting book. But I'll get to that. I also have feedback from my previous live. I think last time I was talking about non-negotiables. And I realized I don't know what is twisted with our society at the moment, but I've realized that a lot of people get really offended when you set boundaries. I don't know if it's stems from the fact that I think we have underlying or undertones for manipulating the next human being. I'm not sure. I think it's because people are very uncomfortable when you define who you are. That's why I think it's a big problem. I think I caught a lot of crossfire from my previous video because primarily I got uh, primarily I got a lot of people saying that they actually confused the fact that non-negotiables when you set your boundaries for being uptight to narcissistic. I think we have a deluded society at this moment because everybody really has a problem with non-negotiables, having your non-negotiables in prior to a relationship. I think when you say them out loud, you find that a lot of people are quite uncomfortable with that. So I think the comment section was not as thank you, Bernard Kirui. Thank you very much. I think the support is much welcomed. Thank you very much. Uh, so I want to get to the topic of today: marriage from 1800 writing and literature. The reason why I've chosen that because of Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. If you have read it, that's okay. If you have not, I'll tell you the synopsis of it. Its setting is in the 1800, and it's just drama sort of because they're mostly talking about status, talking about marriages, and despite the fact that it is dotted with people who are trying to marry their cousins, which I think that was a Western culture or East lays, I don't know, but I'm doing okay, Bernard. But I did realize that we have skewed the idea of marriage because the book talks about marriage in the sense that it's a union for financial gain. I think most people forget that. I think we marry because of economics. I think women understand that. That is why they submit themselves to hypergamy. I think men do not understand that. But if you go back to the 1800s, you realize that people used to marry purely because of economic reasons. The whole idea of love came secondary, or shared interest came secondary. I think what was primary was the fact that you were supposed to marry purely for economics. And I think the modern picture of love being the sole reason as to why people are marrying, I think it's because of the mainstream media. I'm not sure, but from the literature of 1800, I've realized that most people used to marry purely because of the economics, the money factor. But we don't want to talk about that because I think it has been painted as a superficial thing. But then again, if you actually see most successful marriages, or rather most marriages break purely because of two major reasons. One is sex, of course, infidelity, promiscuity, all those things are the leaders in divorce. But that which comes secondly close to that is money. I think most people do not see the impact of money being a deal breaker because a lot of divorces happen because I think one of the salient periods whereby this I think one of the salient periods in our time which has confirmed that most marriages fail primarily because of money and why money is a significant player is during the COVID period. I think there was a huge surge of divorce rates. There was a huge surge of suicide when it comes to men who were in marriages because they felt like they could not access the workforce, so their incomes were strained. And with that, it actually caused a lot of friction in their relationships. I think money is a big factor. But now, how often do we talk about money? I think we seldom talk about money because of uh, the advertising that is around it. I think when a man asks a woman the contentious questions of what do they bring to the table, it always comes out as an offensive question. But I think it's important, and I think women use anger to actually avoid answering that question because that question subliminally asks, what is your financial status directly? And I think the reason why we seem not to be progressing in terms of marriage is because I think we are turning this thing to be purely emotional. And unfortunately, emotions do not last as much because they are spurs of the moment. And when it comes to marriage, I think there is a logical and pragmatic approach. And there are things, and I think it's important because my last live was on non-negotiables. This is actually sort of an add-on to uh, non-negotiables, where I think if you actually enter into marriage without boundaries or non-negotiables, you are bound to actually fail. And I think one of the key factors in conversation that should be considered are sex and money. I think we talk about sex, but not entirely because of the taboo sense in the African setting. And equally, money carries the same taboo um hue. And I think we need to actually change that because I think marriage is an economic institution. What fuels marriage, a successful marriage, is how much money conversations are being had. I think if you actually ignore them, they are bound to become a problem. Because I think right now, if you have been in a relationship, you ought to know the gravity which money brings. So I think from the 1800s, I was reading Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. You find that a lot of class and status have been really, really highlighted, and it's same as the caste system in India, and see how successful marriage still is in the Indian community. They actually do approach it as a way of guarding their wealth. That's why they still owe hypothetically marry within their families. And I think that is not advised because of the biological defects that comes with that. But I think you can still see how much the money factor is, and I think that is what I got mostly from Jane Austen, and it was very interesting how much love could be thrown away, or how much a connection could be thrown away purely because of the lack of connections. Sorry for being redundant, for the lack of status, because I think there's a the setting of the story is there's a very rich man who moves into a neighborhood, and in that neighborhood there are eligible spinsters, and he chooses one of them, but they get a connection through the he invites them to a ball, which was like a club in the 1800s, and so they connect. But unfortunately, because because of the difference in class, that relationship didn't work. I'm not advocating purely on the fact that there ought marriage should, or any relationship should be built purely on money, because that would not be very wholesome as well. I think purely building a relationship based on money is not wholesome. I think that is an overglorified prostitution. But I think my advocacy is that I think we should bring more money conversation, and I think from the men primarily, because women do not shy from it. Women would know how much you make, or rather, even at least have a clue how much you make, but seldom do we hear men knowing how much their women make. I think we need to start having that conversation candidly, regardless of how emotive and angry people get when they are asked how much they bring to the table. I think it's important, and I think for men, yeah, I think men should start. I think I've seen a lot of videos whereby men are up in arms claiming that marriage is no longer profitable for them, which is justified because of how much it has been skewed to the sense that it's only built purely on love. And I think love as an abstract concept sometimes cannot really be defined in the sense that, in the utilitarian sense, I think love as an emotional sensation can be important because it's a sign of connection. But now the practicality of marriage, the utility of marriage comes in from purpose. The utility of marriage comes in from shared value systems, from everything else in life. I think I would advise men to actually seek out such conversations. I think it's easier. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's easier to actually be in a relationship with someone who is in your range when it comes to money. Uh, it's it's uh, it's not talked about because it seems to be some form of discrimination. But I think it's easy. I think if you actually go ahead and date someone who is in your class, there are things which you might find less strenuous, as rather dating someone who's below your class. I think that's something that men should also know, because we have always been saviors of bailouts. Men are comfortable dating someone who's not working completely. I think that's the terms such as housewives comes in, and you seldom hear of house husbands. And yes, it used to work in the previous years, but now women have actually penetrated the workforce right now, and they are really doing immensely well. So I think you cannot restrain someone from actually exploiting their career, which is why I think you need to start having the conversation surrounding money. I think it's also interesting because I've realized that how much someone makes is informed or guided by how intelligent they are, or how emotionally intelligent they are. There's something about how much money you have and how much money you make that reflects how you think. I think it's of course, now, seemingly because of capitalism and the fact that our system works purely on meritocracy, How you maneuver up the ladder or the economic ladder is purely because of how you think and how you execute your ideas. So I think you should also be able to date someone who's or marry someone who's on your economic range simply because of that. And it's very interesting because I've also been in a relationship like that where it failed because I was trying to level up someone. And it's a very strenuous thing because it means that you have to compromise or even sacrifice things that you will change the person that you are. And I think marriage or any relationship should be an additional relationship. It should be a positive something. I think being in a relationship where you have to take steps back just so that you can reach someone's hand and pull them forward is difficult. I think that is a sacrifice that I think nobody should make. And I think women do not do that. I think women beat us to this game because they have seen the dynamics of how a good marriage works, and they know the foundational, fundamental things that hold marriage. And I think we should start talking about money. I think it's important even during dates to just get a of how much your partner is earning. I think it's important in planning as well because then you would know. Oftentimes you might bend backwards for somebody, yet they do not have they don't merit that. I think it's important. This will actually save a lot of heartache. This will actually save a lot of noise. And so I think this idea is not only from Jane Austen because I've also read Stendhal's Black Scarlet and Black, and it's set up in French. I think Jane Austen is English, and Stendhal's is set up in France, in the France 1800s as well. And you can actually see from the both books, all of them were actually talking. They were actually putting unions or marriages in the light that all of the marriages were made convenient because of class of economics. So you can find that there were dukes or duchesses who were marrying because of their class. I think if you actually want to test this, you if you want to dispute this, I think I'd welcome it in the comment section. Let me see the activity that's going on in the comment section. Somebody says do a fortnight stream to get subscribers. No, I'm not doing this because I want subscribers particularly. No, I'm, I'm comfortable with the number that I do have. I'm doing this because I want a patronage. I want an audience which enjoys reading. That's primary. And secondly, I want an audience who enjoy creative outlets whereby you can have conversations and think through problems that are actually philosophical, and in the sense that these problems can actually have an impact in your life. So I think a fortnight stream will just attract the wrong type of crowd. So I think I'm purely grateful that you have actually seen the need to actually give me the counsel, and I appreciate you for subscribing as well. Uh, so I think that is it for today. I just wanted to do a 30-minute live. I think the bottom line of this live is that I would like to see or hear feedback from men, especially men who have taken the initiative of actually starting to date or starting to get into relationship with the consideration of money. Know how much your partner makes, know how which class they belong to. Honestly, let's not pretend like we are good people and we all want to go to heaven. I think sometimes we need to have these candid conversations and stop these subtle games whereby we are pretending, because I think we need to actually go back to the original concept of marriage or the original intentions of marriage. I think marriage was institutionalized as an economic vehicle. I think people married in the 1800s, and these were the times where marriages were actually, as an idea, were actually was conceived. Because in the 1800s, I think us as Africans, polygamy was accepted, and the conversation around polygamy is very is very tensed, because I think women see that as an infringement on on their rights of some sort. I really don't want to get to that, but I think my topic today was to actually highlight, if you have taken the time to read in any literature from the 1800s that is romantic or is in the drama settings, you'd see how much classes how much marriage was invented as a way to safeguard, as an economical tool. I think the concept of using love is just but an addition, because if you can find someone who is in your range economically, and there comes the addition of love, I think that will be the wholesome setting. So I think we should stop lying to yourself and pretending and saying that we are only getting into marriage purely on the sense that we love. I think love is ephemeral. I think love fades away. If you can't possibly love someone for eternity. That's impossible. The odds of that is very minute. I think we are 7 billion plus people in the world, and I think there is a very small percentage of people who have actually fell in love purely and lasted. I think right now we have seen how much families are breaking. We have seen the divorce rates. I'm in the 30 years, I'm in the millennium generation, so I think I have more examples to point at. I think so we actually have to, and we have to actually open up that conversation. I'm looking forward to feedback and seeing what you guys have to say in regards to this topic. I think marriage is essentially an institution. I think that is the finishing. That is the bottom line to this whole life. So I really don't want to take your time. I want to appreciate the two people who have actually liked it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, Bernard. Thank you for your time, Taus. Thank you for your time, Cheriot. Thank you for your time, Brian. Thank you for your time. I think I'm actually also enjoying the fact that I'm actually having male. I'm getting male viewership, because I think this is a stream that I want to particularly serve men, and I want to thank everybody who has taken the time. I see that I'm approaching the 30-minute mark. Thank you. And if you have an opinion about marriage, or what do you think, or what are the struggles that are in the marriage, or if I've said anything that is contentious, please leave it in the comment section. I think I'd address it in the next live. Thank you for your time. I'm still continuing on improving this live streams, so I appreciate those who are actually coming out fast to give me the support. I think we are on a good roll. I think 79 subscribers or followers is quite a large number to actually not take serious. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next live.